to the So Vintage series here on A Vintage Vanity. Yes, your eyes are not deceiving you. I am actually wearing the dress right now. Yeah. That is right, we are finishing the dress in this video, and the only thing we have to do before I show you the full finished product is to make the belt. The belt was pretty frustrating, and that's why it's kind of taken me a while to get this video up. It's frustrating for a number of reasons, and I was seriously this close to just buying a black belt and being like, I'm not going to make it. But then I was like, you know what, I want the belt experience. I want to go through this, I want to figure it out. And I'm so happy I did. It was, once you get over the bumps to it, it was a great sewing experience, and I think it looks phenomenal on the dress. And I think had it been just a plain store-bought black belt, it wouldn't quite have looked the same. And you'll see that at the end of the video. So also, if you see like boxes or messes in the background, I am in the middle of packing right now, so yeah, things are a little messy back there. So forgive me for that. But I am going to hush up and get to the sewing. So the last thing we have to do is the belt. I've decided not to do the shoulder pads just because shoulder pads make me look like a linebacker, and it's not a good look on me. The belt. I ran into some problems with the belt, and it really frustrated me. Essentially, the belt that it had us cut out was just fit around the waist. There wasn't actually any extra left to kind of go through like a belt does. But they also had us cut out these extension pieces, which I imagined was for the belt, to extend the width of the belt. Only problem is, it is considerably wider than the belt itself, and I wasn't really sure how to use it. There were no instructions on how to use the extension piece. It just had you cut it out but never explained it. So there was a couple things I could have done. I could cut this piece down to actually be the same width as our belt and then stitch it together, or I could recut the belt entirely, which I had enough fabric left, and that's what I chose to do. So what I did was I added another extension piece on the end of the belt here. So I'm going to recut this, and then using this belt as well, I'm going to cut my inner facing. This is the inner facing we're going to be using. It's a fusible sheer weight, and we are going to, just like you would with fabric, we are going to cut it out. We're going to double it up and cut out the belt piece. Now our directions say to baste the inner facing on the wrong side of the fabric of the belt. But we're not going to do that because we're going to actually turn to the directions on the inner facing. We're actually going to fuse the inner facing onto the fabric itself. So to do that, all you need to do is lay out your fabric. We're going to take our inner facing with the fusible side. So on mine, it's a little bit bumpy. Pin our inner facing onto our belt. And we're just going to pin it down the middle, because what we're going to do is we're going to go around the edge of the belt and actually iron it, so we don't want the pins on the edge of the the belt. Take our iron and run it down the edges. And you can see how that changes, like this is little dots, and that changes to like lines. So we know that's fused on there. So that's basting it onto the fabric, and you're going to do this all the way around the belt and on the other piece as well. So you're going to do this twice. We are going to now fuse it. Now to do that, what you want to do is you want to take your iron and turn it to a, since this is a lightweight fabric, I'm turning it to a lower setting. And then you're going to take a damp cloth and cover up your piece of fabric. So you're going to place your iron on there, and then you're just going to press firmly for about 10 seconds. Then you're going to overlap the area that you just did, and you're going to do the same thing, and you're going to do that all the way down the piece of fabric, and you're going to do that to our second piece as well. Right, so now what we're going to do, now that that's done, is we're going to turn it over so it's right side up. You want to set your iron to steam And then we are going to steam the right side of the fabric. So now with both our belt pieces with the interfacing ironed on, we're now ready to move on. Now you might be saying, Jen, there was no fusible interfacing listed on the directions for the dress. Why did you do that? It's a great question, and thanks for asking. The reason why I did that is it actually calls for hair canvas interfacing, which is this. It is very stiff, it is very scratchy, and it is also very expensive. And to do the belt like they wanted, we would have had to get yards and yards and yards of this. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut out the hair canvas in strips, which means I'm going to have to attach each strip together, which would make the belt a bit weaker because you have all those stitched together pieces. So by adding the fusible interfacing on here, I keep the strength of the belt while doing it kind of this more inexpensive way, I guess you could say. So for the hair canvas, what I'm going to do is this. I've laid out the belt. If I fold this over, I can see that 2 strips of this hair canvas would equal 1 length of the belt. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 2 strips of just the squared off parts of the belt, and then I'm going to do 2 strips where we have the triangle end of the belt. And again, I'm just going to cut this like I do everything else using my ruler. So now what we're going to do, this is not fusible by iron. So these we are going to machine baste in onto the back of the belt. So you're going to take your first piece and you're just going to match it up with the interfacing that's on there already. And again, I'm pinning in the middle because we're going to be basting along the edges. And because of the way we did this, you always want to start with the end triangle piece, because we're probably going to have extra up here, and then that way we can just snip off the extra without having to measure. Okay, and here now you'll see that our canvas hair piece ended. All we're going to do is take the piece that has the 2 blunt edges, and we're just going to meet those edges up and pin. And now we're going to do the same thing on the other belt. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to take this to the machine and we're going to baste it at 5/8 of an inch. And we're going to do that all the way around. We are now going to take the right sides of the fabric, lay them together, and pin the sections. And again, I'm just going to pin in the middle, and then we are going to take this to the sewing machine and we are going to do our 5/8 of an inch seam allowance on this. And then once that's all stitched together, we are going to trim the ends. And you are going to want to trim it using the pinking shears and as close to your stitch line as possible, because then we're going to turn this belt inside out. I'm going to go and do that, and then I'm going to show you my stitched and trimmed result. Okay, so the belt is all stitched on both sides and trimmed with the pinking shears. The only end that is left open is this end here, because now we are going to be turning this belt inside out. What I'm going to do is I have a chopstick, and I'm going to start at the bottom. Puff these 2 up, put my end on there, and wiggle, 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 wiggle. You don't want to push too hard because you don't want the chopstick to actually end up punching through the fabric. Take your time with this. It's hardest to get it started, but once you get it started, you can see it's actually starting to kind of go over the chopstick a little bit easier. When I get a bunch of fabric on there, I hold on to the chopstick and I pull the fabric. So the belt is going to feel really weird. It's going to feel like it's not laying flat. So what you're going to do is you're going to lay it on your ironing board and kind of wiggle it around so it's nice and flat-ish. Then take your iron and just run it over that belt. Right, so what we're doing now with the belt is we are placing in edge stitching right along the edge of the belt on both sides. An edge stitch, all that is a stitch that's 1/8 of an inch away from your seam. And that's going to keep the belt from sliding like to the side like that. It'll keep it laying flat. Now, there is very little fabric in here, so it does make it a bit difficult, so you are going to really have to guide this in there when you start off. And remember, there's a lot of layers of fabric here too, so you've got that to combat as well. So you're really going to have to help this through and just get if you can't get 1/8 of an inch close to this, just get as close to the edge as possible. Okay, and now that your edge stitching is done, it will look like this. And then we are going to base stitch close the top here. What I have for the belt buckle is a 1-inch, just a basic slide buckle. I'm going to take the end of the belt that's flat, and we're just going to slide that through like so. And then we're going to flip this over, and then we're going to fold the fabric so that it meets kind of like a little sandwich. And I'm just going to put a pin in here real quick. Now what we're going to do is we are going to do a hand stitch to finish this belt off, and we're going to start with a whip stitch. A whip stitch is also called an overcast stitch. Now all you need to do for a whip stitch is just start on the other side so that you hide the knot, and then you go from this side to that. Now when you come back around on the other side, you just want to make it a very small stitch, so you don't want it to be real obvious on the other side. So that it is, on this side, it is just a dot of stitching. And continue to do this all the way across. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to close the very ends here, so we're going to stitch it right about there using a slip stitch, which again is a hand stitch. And what you want to do is you want to slip it into the folded edge there. So you're being all sneaky and coming inside the fold that's already there. So number one, that'll hide the knot. And then you're going to go to the other side, and again you're going to go through the hem. So just going to grab a little bit of fabric. That will pull it closed. And then again on this side, I know you need like magnifying glasses for this, right? You slip again into the very edge and slip through it. Do it again on this side, into just a little bit, and then pull. Do that a couple more times and then tie it off. So that way you won't see the stitching on the sides, but it'll help keep it closed. Then you're just going to do the same thing on the other side. So you just want to do it a little bit to kind of close up that very bottom gap there. Alright guys, there it is. That is the finished dress. Oh my gosh. Here's the belt. Yeah, that's right. We made a belt. We did. That's crazy. Alright, so I'm gonna shut this off. I'm gonna try it on so you guys can see what it looks like on. Okay, I'm so excited. Alright guys, here it is. The dress. The finished dress. What do you think? I'm really actually happy with the way it turned out. I still, I feel like I'm not measuring myself correctly, because I know I lost a little bit of weight as I was making this dress, but it is still in the waist. It could have been taken in a bit more, which I may still do as well, but we'll see. But I'm really, really happy with the way the bodice turned out. So with the exception of the zipper and a little bit of the bagginess here, I really love the way it turned out. So that's it. We just made our second dress. That's crazy. I'm sitting here in shock, and I feel like we made it. As weird as that sounds, being able to talk with you guys throughout this process and talk about the frustrations and some tips and best practices, has really made me feel like this is like a community-made dress. And we're getting better every dress we make. So if you haven't gotten out that sewing machine yet and you want to make a vintage dress, we are going to be continuing with this series, so perhaps you will sew with me on the next one. Huh? The next dress we're going to be doing in this series, because with this dress and the last dress, we were in the 1940s, so now we're going to switch over into the 1950s. 1956 to be specific, and we're doing the Butterick B5605 dress. And I think we're going to do the B version here with the bow in the back. Yeah? And the full skirt. That'll be fun, right? I really want to do this dress in like a very fun pattern. So I'm thinking I might actually splurge and get my fabric off of Spoonflower. I'm not too sure. I don't know though. Have you guys ever ordered any fabrics from there? And so go ahead in those comment sections below. Let me know. Have you ever ordered anything from Spoonflower? What's your experience been with them? Or do you have another site that you think would be really great for finding some really cool patterns to do with this? Because I'm not sure what fabric I want to make it out of yet. So yeah, that's it for that is it for this edition of So Vintage. We will be starting back up probably in a couple weeks when we do this one, just because as you guys know, I'm in the middle of packing things up and getting ready for moving out of this apartment. So I may have a new So Vintage up next week, but I don't want to say for sure because I'm not 100% positive. So yeah, if you don't want to miss a minute of the making of the Butterick dress, go ahead and click here to subscribe. That way you'll stay up to date with everything going on here on A Vintage Vanity, including hair tutorials, sewing, and vlogs as well. And an easy way to let me know that you like this series and how this dress turned out is to go ahead and click the thumbs up right down there. And as always, I love hearing from you, so go ahead in those comment sections and let's chat. So I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you soon.